What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk a little bit about how the multi-op operation works. Say that 5 times fast. All right, let's get into it. What's going on, guys? Once again, welcome back to the channel. My name is Scott King. I run a DJ company over here in Orlando, Florida. Yes, it's a multi-op, and I teach the practices that I learned between NLP, hypnosis, internet marketers, and I've had success throughout the years. www.coachscottking.com if you want to learn how I was able to build my business. Now, today, I want to talk about the multi-op. How does that work when you have all these different types of personalities and everybody has their own vision, and yet at the same time you still need to keep everybody on the same track and making sure that everybody's prepared for their shows and making sure that you still have success while you're at your shows. And this is something that I'm always striving and learning and dealing with because the whole goal is to get better, right? The more streamlined you can make something, the easier it will be, especially for your team to fall in line or have the information that they need in order to perform a successful event. First, a little bit about my journey. I used to work for other talent agencies, and I pretty much didn't like how I was being treated. Sometimes you wouldn't get any information. Sometimes they would ask you to do something and then do like a bait and switch, and then all of a sudden you're doing more than what you said you do to begin with. And there was so much hoopla, and also when you go and do an event, it wasn't staffed properly, so one person would want or have to do all the work, for the event, and then you would just get burnt out. And at the same time, when you deal with a narcissistic personality, oh, thank you so much for all that you do for me, you're like your brother to me, and then next time we'll make it better, and then it just never ends up getting better. And then you keep explaining how things are messed up, and and that person had all the leads, so it was time for me just to go ahead and build my own business. Now, there was a lot of learning involved in order to be able to do that, and there are some different things in Florida that you probably wouldn't have to worry about in other markets. Like it's a right to work state. Right to work state means that the talent can work wherever they want, which is fine as long as you set up rules and guidelines to what works. So if somebody promises they'll work for you on a certain day, that means they can't take gigs for another person on that day because they promised they would do that. And at the same time, where is your emotional intelligence at when it comes to dealing with people? Because one person may be able to say one thing, yet they don't mean it. I've had multiple instances in the past where I didn't quite understand what was going on. And as you start to level up your emotional intelligence and find out where people are at, the better you'll be at making deals, the better you'll be at being able to build your business. And you could just pretty much foreshadow where somebody's going to go based on the information that they give you. And the more you level up your skills on emotional intelligence, the more you can prepare for what could possibly happen. And I've had many instances where I've overstaffed something and it was great because somebody fell off. And once somebody falls off unruly, we just get rid of them and then find somebody else. And you always have that in your mind. Well, is this person going to fall off? I don't know. Maybe. So why don't I just book somebody else in case it does, and then it's overstaffed. Sometimes the gigs are overstaffed and everybody has like a really easy day. Sometimes something might happen and it's properly staffed. So it's always better to have a little bit of a safety net when you're out there, because you only have one opportunity to make the best of the time that you have for the time that you were hired for. So with that in mind, my journey started in 2020, because the way I looked at it was that, everybody was grounded, right? We all started from ground zero. I saw this meme on Facebook where it was like, oh, this guy is a, arena DJ, and this guy is a bedroom DJ. And now it's 2020 and nobody's got any events. So they're pretty much at that starting point, right? Now, one person may have more opportunities because of the connections that they have, yet the other person can still build from the same spot. And just how fast can you get off the starting line? So with that in mind, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about how things work with inside the company, and then you can pick apart, the gold nuggets that work for you, right? So again, emotional intelligence, I have a whole class on it. Make sure to go to the website. There's a few videos on the YouTube channel if you want an introduction to what I'm talking about and understanding how people are driven. 4 main types of how people are driven, and the better that you can pick that out, the better you'll be able to predict whether this person is going to be dependable or not. And people will sign paperwork and say they'll be dependable and yet do whatever they want. And if you can understand the dynamics of how the entertainment world works, or basically business in general, I'm sure other markets have to deal with this as well. So just keep that in mind, who's loyal and who isn't. And again, in Florida, anybody can work for whoever they want to work for. So managing, I don't know, I had 11 events over the weekend, and quite a few people were moving in different places. So with that in mind, how do you have your ducks in a row? How streamlined are you? So I use a CRM system that sends out text messages to the team. I follow up with the team throughout the week and see if they have any questions. And then I look at the staff and think, well, do I need more people on this? And there's another thing as well, right? Like, so if you're got somebody who's new and you train them, that's money spent training them, right? So they could come over to the house and learn how to train on a photo booth, or they could go to an event and somebody who knows the photo booth can train the next person, yet you still paying them to be there for that training. So it doesn't always work out when you pay money to train somebody either, because I've had a few people, well, I'm moving out of state, like at least 2 people, they're moving back out of state, and I've spent a little bit of time training them and had them on multiple events, and now that they're moving, I need somebody to replace them. So with that in mind, it wasn't like they were doing anything unethical or unloyal. It's just that they had to make decisions in their life, and whatever made best, for them, they left. And with enough notice, I have time to prepare for that. And I have extra people, even for this weekend, scheduled to go to different events so they can learn different things like cloud dance, photo booth, how to put out uplights, that kind of thing. And the more they know how to do, the more useful they are, for what we do. So again, you got to have your systems in play, right? So I have a CRM system. It sends my team emails. It sends them text messages. And then if they have any questions, they can reach back to me with any questions. We also have checks and balances within the CRM system where I cross-reference everything with a Google Calendar. So inside the Google Calendar, I'll put an event, I'll put the address, I'll put the times, and then I'll add everybody's email that's a part of that event. And if they have to get to the information for that event, we have a team folder link that goes to a Dropbox, and then they can have all the information where during the week, I put all that information inside the Dropbox of where it needs to go so that people have their timelines, and I even get the specific music that the client wants per event. Now, this helps to keep everybody streamlined. They like working like this because they have the information that they need. They know that I'm putting my work in. And when you put your work in, that means they're going to want to, put their work in because you did everything but basically do the event for them, right? So I try to do the best to set my team up for success. So with that in mind, being able to send out contracts, pricing strategy, also when the gear breaks, you want to make sure that you're able to fix that or buy another one. I had a recent incident where we went to an event and the person before didn't tell us there was something wrong with one of the photo booths. Yet at the same time, when we were at the current event, we didn't know there was something wrong with the photo booth until we opened it up and tried to put it together for the event. And then I had to send somebody back to go get another photo booth so that we could replace the one that was on site. These things happen. And at the same time, I went on Amazon that day and purchased another photo booth so we'd have extra photo booths. Now, not something that I really wanted to do, yet it may be a hit, but you're still in the game. You can still grow your business. The worst that could happen is that you could fix the broken photo booth and now you have more photo booths to send out. And the more stuff that you have, the more you can make money. May suck in the beginning because you have to put the upfront cost to get the material, yet if you're looking towards growth and you have extra things, those are extra things you can make money on, like photo booths and cloud dance. One of my DJs hit me up and asked me if I wanted to sell one of my cloud dance machines, and I was thinking about it a couple months ago, and then he probably should have purchased it then, yet 2 days ago, I actually needed 2 cloud dances for 2 different events. And then I was like, well, I don't really feel comfortable selling an extra cloud dance machine if, I'm going to need them. So, yeah, I mean, if you're looking for development and growth, and depends on where you are with, what kind of sales and leads you have coming in. And, that's another thing too, right? Like if there's no show, there's no event and there's no money. So this business is a little bit unpredictable, and you could do your best to look at numbers in the past, yet that doesn't mean anything for your numbers moving forward, because if someone's not going to have an event, then you're not going to make any money. So when it comes to your team, I also have a paper that I go over of the rules and regulations or code of conduct when people work for the company, and as long as they're okay with all those things and they sign that paper. And, it has things in there like, another one of my videos, if you scroll down, I have a more detailed explanation. I think I even left a link to what that paper was. And if you need it, come join the Facebook group. I'll post it in there. But basically, if you sit down with somebody, you want to explain what your expectations are so that they know and you're clear. And then if they're okay with that, then you can move forward. So let's say, I had an incident where I asked the guys to show up in blacks, when they show up to set up an event, for especially a wedding, right? I had one of my guys at the time show up in Stonewash white jeans. And I was like, you signed this paper. And then maybe some people don't take you seriously, or didn't read it, or don't want to hold themselves professional, and then it's up to you whether or not the person realized their mistake and want to correct it moving forward. Again, back to the emotional intelligence, or if they just shunned it off and was like, yeah, I didn't think you were serious, that kind of thing. So these are definitely things to keep in mind, and the more you can beef up your emotional intelligence, the better you'll be able to predict these things and decide whether or not that works for your company. So again, I also try to do meetings once a week, and I invite the team out. We go out, have a drink or two, and then just kind of catch up on different things that are happening within the market, find out the temperature of the area, that kind of thing. And, when I go back to one of my books, Michael Franchise, if I say it right, you love to do sit downs, and it's always important to stay in communication with your group to make sure they're on the same page, make sure they're, okay with what they're getting paid for what they're doing. If there's anything that needs to be adjusted, sometimes, like last weekend, Phil, he was doing an event, and then he was giving me a report on the guys that I sent out, and with that information, it's what do you do? Okay, one person wasn't too proactive, so maybe I didn't explain that properly, and I'll have that person come out with me on an event and be like, hey man, you got to be more proactive. This is how we set things up, and if you need to go out and mingle with people to like make them feel comfortable when they're using a photo booth or something like that, that would be me correcting a current a past behavior for future growth moving forward. Because I did get text messages that were like, oh yeah, I can't wait to learn this stuff, and I want to be proactive, and the more I can learn, the better I can be useful for the company and then get scheduled more. So that's basically the incentive for some of the guys that I hire as well. Once again, it's a right to work state. The guys can work for whoever that they want. The only thing is, if they say they're available for me on a certain date, I pretty much have that written in stone. So keys to success, right? Make sure you have your metrics down. What's going to work best out for you? If you charge X amount and you pay an X amount, and then are you able to scale that with the profitability of the expenses that you have for advertising, gear breaking down, and then still being able to live your life as well too? And are your steps implemented? Are you keeping up with everybody? Making sure that they're good to go. I send out tons of text messages, make sure everybody's on the same page. Automation sends out emails and text messages. And if you want to learn how I built my business, I have a whole class inside the website. Make sure to check that out. I'll leave some links below. But if you go to the website, different learnings that I use to be able to scale my business up to $370K for sales for the year. And We also have a Facebook group. You can go in there and ask questions. And just want to say thanks for your time. I'll see you on the inside. And if you are on our email list, we have more offers there as well. Alrighty, guys. Thanks for your time. I'll catch you on the next one.